Hello and welcome back to Six-Sided. We have an action-packed show for you where we are talking about Ruben Amorim. Is it time for him to move on? And if so, who should be the replacement? We're looking at Chelsea after more drop points from them in a dramatic game against Brentford. We're talking Erling Haaland. Is he once again proving he's the best number 9 in the league? Liverpool cannot stop winning. They're doing it the hard way. But is that scarier than doing it the easy way? We're talking Arsenal and Noni Madueke. Has he made football fans all around the world look foolish? Plus, we're talking about the divide in North London and Spurs' brilliant start to the campaign. So stick with us. Hit the like buttons. Make sure you're subscribing. Hope you're all locked in. Let us know where you're watching from as well. And if you are out there watching, we were backstage talking about you, Bianca, and I hope you're well and good. Make sure like buttons have been hit. Make sure you are subscribing to the channel. Very, very important to us that you get that done. But before we jump into the questions and the topics, panel, how are you all? You all well, good, happy, etc.?
Very good. Brilliant.
Very good.
Yeah, good, man.
I'm all right. Hold on. I can join in now. I can do my own.
Yeah, I'm going back on loan to Arsenal this season, I think. I'm just going to do it. Just going to go on loan to Arsenal. My agent's been in contact. He said that Arteta will take me till the end of the season, so I might do it. Might have to do it. It's a painful one at the minute. It's painful, but well, not that painful. I'm upset, but I'm sort of. This weekend was a weird one. Like apathy kind of crept in, if that made sense. I was like, oh, okay. In the end, I was like, 3-0 ain't that bad. Could have been 5. Do you know what I mean? It's
you weren't quite Grimsby, Terry, because after that stream that you did after Grimsby was epic. You weren't quite there. I think,
I know this is. Yeah, it's not a dig at any other kind of content creator. I think that being that same level as angry as I was after Grimsby, after every time something goes wrong, I just don't think it's natural. I don't think it's normal. I don't think it's healthy at my age. Plus, I don't think you can always be that angry. I think it over football. We all love football and it's important, but I don't see how you can maintain that anger. But that's just me. That's just me. Maybe I'm a cut for it. I don't know. We'll delve into it on the show. For football, I'm talking, not in real life. I don't have a chair in the corner of my room. I don't, actually. It's the truth. But look, let's jump into the first question. And we're going to start with Man United so I can get it out of the way, if I'm being absolutely honest. And the first fiction or football question, and I'm going to go to Kate first on this. And it's on the live chat. You guys can see the order of the questions we're going through. Ruben Amorim must be sacked and Iraola appointed is the only way to save Manchester United's season. What do you make of that, Kate?
I am going to say that's not right. So is that fiction or non-fiction? Fiction. I always get confused.
Should we change it? Do we just change it to fiction or fact? Would that be easier?
That'd be easier.
Change it to fiction or fact. But yes, go on. We'll do fiction or fact.
I'm going to say fiction because I don't see how Man United can just keep sacking manager after manager after manager. There's something systematically and inherently wrong with Manchester United. There's no doubt about it. Now, I don't personally think Amorim's the guy. I sat here when you appointed him and said, alarm bells should be ringing. This guy is like Ange Postecoglou. He won't change his system. He's already said that. And look, it's not working. However, I don't think sacking him will make any difference to Manchester United. I don't think Iraola just automatically comes to you either. Why would he leave Bournemouth to come to the shit show that is Manchester United? And it is an absolute shit show. It's a poison chalice from top to bottom. But it's difficult because I can see both sides because I don't think he's the right guy. But at the same time, I don't think sacking him is going to make any difference. I don't know what it is at Manchester United. Something's wrong. Your players that are leaving, like Anthony, for instance, like Rashford, are all going and improving themselves. I just think there's something really wrong at Manchester United, and just sacking Amorim is not going to make it better.
I think that I hear that. Sorry, go on.
On a personal note, I hope it continues for a long time and you get relegated. But going back to that, I just think you're just doing what you've always done and just sacking a manager and moving on to the next one. I just don't think there's an overnight cure for Manchester United.
I hear that, Kane. touching on that, like Ruben Amorim is coming out and he's essentially blaming the personnel and players that he's got. He says, "My system." I'm paraphrasing, but it's my system will work. We haven't all got the right players for it yet. I am not going to change. If you want change, if you want a different system, different formation, different approach, I'm not changing. You're going to have to sack me. You read that, and there's a lot of United fans. You're in a group chat with the likes of David, where it's 90% of our issues right now and not winning these games is Ruben Amorim. Does going for someone like Iraola fix us? Does it save the season?
Well, I guess I'll answer the question with a question myself. Is what would Man United fans consider saving Man United's season?
Great point.
Because to me, if we look at the 4 games, I think there is an weird expectation. You went up against Arsenal, who this is again a team that was picked to challenge for the league, if not win it. So the expectation that you would win that, I mean, I appreciated that yourselves and other Man United fans were like up for it because it's the start of the new season and all that jazz, and you're at home. But at the same time, I didn't see Man United winning that game. You then went to Fulham, who again finished in and around the same places as you last season, I think, if not above you by a bit, and you ended up drawing. Then you went and beat Burnley just, and then you went up against Man City and lost. And I'm looking at the teams you're playing, and to me, the results that ended up kind of just seem right for where Man United are right now. So for me, when you're saying save the season, what are we talking about saving Man United season? Is it getting top 4? Because I mean, that if people are saying that was the top 4, top 5, if that's what saving the season looks like, then I guess so. But okay, if you're talking challenging for the European spots, I don't think you're a million miles off it. Same with like top 10. I don't think you're carry on the way you're going now. I feel like you're going to probably get there. I don't know. I like Amorim's system. I think there are elements where he's right. An element where he's wrong. I think what Man United do really well is, I guess the patterns that I see are that I worry about from an Amorim point of view. It's the same problems occur in each game, in that you defend well because you'd have numbers at the back, but your forward line is so isolated that the chances that you end up creating are somewhat half chances that sometimes they come off, sometimes they don't. And when you actually see the fullbacks, for instance, actually push on and start joining the attack, that's when you see Man United at their attacking best. And that's when you've seen, like, when you beat Burnley, when you were able to do that. Against Arsenal, you were able to do that because Arsenal kind of did this whole sort of, we'll run forward, we lose the ball, and then you kind of counter-attacked. And towards the end, you were starting to see like the fullbacks integrate with the attack, and you actually had sustained periods where you looked dangerous. But then in other games like the Fulham one, they just sat back and you kind of just got ran through a little bit. And that's where I would be annoyed at Amorim. Do I think he should change? No, because that's his style. I think what I take is from Eddie Howe is he has his style, he has his philosophy, and he should always stick to it. But at the same time, you should adapt your philosophy and your style to the opposition on a week-by-week basis. That's not necessarily meaning whole head sail, let's change the formation kind of thing, but like a little like, oh, okay, this week I want the fullbacks to cut. When we're defending, I want my fullbacks to, instead of falling back into a line of 5, actually come into the midfield and make an actual 3-4-3 block and defend that way. I don't know. Or maybe have one of the centre backs come into midfield on defensive attributes.
Well, that's what they're meant to do. But this is the thing. Bruno Fernandes has been called out today because he has called out the fact that the centre backs are not stepping into the middle where they're meant to be. So this is where it becomes this argument of, should the manager change or should the players be held accountable for not doing the right thing? And I am torn on it. As a Man United fan, I'm torn on that conversation because I look at yesterday's game and it wasn't just in defensive areas where players aren't stepping up. You also have, when we had the ball in dangerous situations, we pressed Rodri off the ball 5 times in the first half. I challenge you all to remember a game, the last time a club pressured Rodri out of possession 5 times in a half at the Etihad. You'll struggle to find it. That element worked well. Then we overhit the pass, we overhit the cross, or we didn't cross the ball. And that was with 4 or 5 players in attack. And I don't think 4 or 5 players in an attack is not enough to create chances. Again, I understand everyone's issues with Ruben Amorim's system. What I can't be dragged into is forgetting that some of these players have never been good enough or are in bad form. Ahmad, as an example, rate him. He's been pretty poor this season. As an individual, in and out of possession, he hasn't been very good. I'm not just going to do for the 8th time running, manager's fault. Manager's fault. I don't think the manager's fault was at fault for Luke Shaw standing square against a player like Doku. I don't think it's Amorim's fault that Dorgu's crosses were really bad. And you made a great point, Kane. So go on, Kunle. Go on.
Do you know why, like, this Amorim kind of falls into a lot of the blame? Is the reason why, for me anyway, is that I don't think in the Premier League we should ever have seen Ahmad as a right wing back. Ever. That's Amorim that did that. Not anyone else. Amorim put probably his most creative attacking player last season as a right wing back. And I heard fans trying to justify, it gives us more space to do this and that and whatever. It don't work. That's number one. Number two, like, if you look at these stats, he's on track to have a worse first 38 games than Sam Allardyce's Bolton Wanderers. Worse 38 games than Mick McCarthy's first 38 games in the Premier League. He's on track to have similar or worse stats. Like, no matter what is going on, you are at Manchester United. That's unexcusable.
So I understand that, and I criticize him as well. A lot of that isn't for me the system; it's putting personnel in the right place. In fact, most of the goals and the assists that have ever come from Ahmad come when he plays right wing back, not when he plays in the 10 position. So even last year, when he had these good games for United, he was playing right wing back. Ruben Amorim's system, the fullbacks are essentially meant to be your wingers. They help you out in defense, which wingers do nowadays. They're meant to be your attacking outlet. So the mistake yesterday was that is where Ahmad should have started, not in the 10 role. Bruno should have been in the 10. Ahmad should have, Mainu should have been in midfield. Absolutely. And I also agree that Ruben Amorim has a big percentage of blame for the lack of wins in the last 10 months. My issue is this, and I'm calling it the silver bullet effect. You know, Man United fans are turning into snake oil salesmen. Once this manager goes, we'll be fine. And Kane made the great point. Save our season to what end? So there's a few United fans I've spoken to that have gone, we've got to get rid of him so we improve. Okay, well, who do you want? Areola's name comes up, or Southgate's name's been mentioned. Xavi. How do you think they'll get on with this squad? Where do you think we'll end? We'll definitely be able to get into that top 10. Definitely that top 8. And I sort of giggle a little bit because I'm sitting here criticizing Amorim for not being good enough. But I'm also looking at the issues with the squad and the imbalance, worried about changing direction again. Because again, if we go for an Areola, we go for a Xavi, who's playing left wing. We've got rid of them all. We have no one. One of Ahmad or Mbumo has got to then be dropped. And the reason I'm saying this is a new set of problems arises because we are not balanced. We were already imbalanced in 4-3-3 and 4-2-3-1. You only have to look at what happened at the end of the last 18 months of Ten Hag and the last year or so of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We were already imbalanced. We've got rid of the whole left-hand side. Okay. We still don't have the midfielders we needed back then. None of these guys are going to have it perfectly. We may improve to a point where we're 10th. We may improve to where we're 8th. But then all the same problems, one second, all the same problems are going to rise up. And then we're just going to end up feeling exactly the same way. And I get we're starving at the moment and we're thirsty and we want something. That's what's going on. We're starving hungry, but we're also gasping for some water. And look, those pints of water, when you get a new manager, you might get a new manager bounce. It's going to feel really good, but it isn't going to take long for that hunger to come through again. And all I'm asking for is Man United fans to keep their feet on the ground and remember, as bad as Amorim has been, let's just put it out there, he has been. There are still multiple problems that are going to take years to be fixed. And we're doing the same thing again, and I gave the example this morning, and I don't care who it offends. You've all seen those social media influencers who are clearly on the whatever they're called, the Manjiro jabs. They're clearly getting jabs, right? They've had a sleeve done on their stomach. They've lost loads of weight. Well done. You look great. But then they're sitting there on the internet and saying, I take one of these pills every morning from Holland and Barrett, and it's helped me lose 8 stone of weight. And everybody goes, oh my God, I'm going to take those pills. And all they are is like organic goodness. And you feel it, you get, oh, that's nice. But they're telling you that pill is the reason they've lost weight. That is what Man United fans and the media are doing. If you get suckered into this idea that just sacking Amorim fixes us. I think Iraola will make us win more games. I do think he'd improve us. I think we'd win more games, but there are still going to be massive problems. You're going to get a huge percentage of our fan base turn on him very quickly because he's probably going to bench Ahmad for Mbumo, and all the Ahmad stands are then going to go for him. So then when you've got no left-hand side and no midfield, and we are still losing games, they're going to start attacking the manager, because we've done it to every one of our last 5, where if a player that's loved by a certain section of our fan base isn't getting the game time they want, everybody turns on him, the pressure mounts up, the media jump on it. I just wouldn't be surprised if we have an upturn and then in 9 months, a year, we're back in having the same conversation.
It's just days old, isn't it? I think. Like, we have the same conversations about every Manchester United manager, and I think it's exactly the same where there's fault on the manager and on the players. Like, even if you look at the underlying stats, everyone keeps saying Manchester United have the highest XG before yesterday. So overall, there is something in the system that's working. There's a lack of finishing.
That was after they were 3-0 down, though.
It's still the highest today.
Yeah, so that's what I mean, where it's like, but there are clear mistakes that Amorim are making where he's keeps playing Bruno at the 8. He's not playing Mainu in the middle. So he's not stupid. He's going to realise that, yeah, Bruno's not good there, but he keeps doing it. And for me, it's just some of the substitutions he makes in game where he's taken off 2 centre-backs for another set of 2 centre-backs. It's just exacerbating the situation where there's already pressure on all these players, and then there's mounting criticism, and he does silly things like that. So I do think there should be criticism on both ends, but it's the same with every manager. Even under Ten Hag, it was, are the players throwing him under the bus? And now it's the exact same. So it's just like you sack a manager, it goes well for a bit, and then it's just the exact same conversations over and over again. And I don't think it's particularly helpful for Man United or fans at all.
No, I agree. Eni, we haven't heard from you yet. What is your take on the claim that the manager must go and Iraola must come in? Do you agree with part of that, all of it? Or
I agree with part of it still. So, like, with the manager, control what you can control in it. So, you're playing Bruno and Casemiro in a 2. We saw from the goal yesterday that Bruno is not going to be the midfielder to track his runners into the box. He lost Foden. Foden scored. Casemiro has never played in a 2 in his life. With Ahmad as a right wing back, in Sporting, he was playing Kenda as a right wing back, who is a natural winger. So we know this is how he plays. But it's Portuguese football doesn't really translate into the Premier League like that. So he needs to stop being so stubborn with this back 3 system, because he hasn't got the players. Luke Shaw should not be playing for Man United in 2025. I'm so sorry. Like, this guy has proven he can't stay fit. Personally, I think he's nicking a living, and you know what? Kudos to him. But I don't think a manager comes in right now and Man United's performances and results will change instantly. I just don't see it happening. I think United have got a deeper issue. I think Ineos, whoever's in charge of the sporting side of things, you had money to back this manager in the summer. It was blatantly obvious that he needed midfielders throughout the whole window. We're saying getting midfielders. And then on the last day of the transfer window, I'm hearing he's linked with players like Conor Gallagher. Like, what are we doing here? What's the aim for Man United? The aim should be to get back into the European places, right? And Conor Gallagher isn't the kind of centre midfielder that I'd pair with a Casemiro that's going to get United there. So I think
hold on. Quickly about that comment. Casemiro should not be starting football games in the Premier League in 2025, bro. Let's keep it on.
Casemiro can play well in the field.
Nah, I'm not saying he can't play well. He should not be starting games for Manchester United in the Premier League in 2025. He should definitely be doing a job.
But I think you both make great points here, and this is where it's interesting, because a lot of the United fans who were on Ineos's neck all summer are the first to completely put this on the manager now and be like, well, he's got to do better. He's got to change this. He's got to do that. It's like, well, you guys were the ones who, listen, I was someone that supported the idea of fixing the attacking line. And 100%. I feel pissed about, what I feel pissed off about is that we have had chances across those games, especially the first 3, to win them by scoring the chances that we created. I don't necessarily look at the chances as like half chances, or, you know, you look at the XG, it's not particularly high, but that being said, the Mbumo miss and the Casemiro miss yesterday look for me are open goals that should be goals. They only came in at 0.4 and 0.5 XG themselves. So even a tap in from 3 or 4 yards out gets you only like 0.5 on XG, right? So I don't consider that a half chance. That for me in the football context is called a sitter. So when you've got a chance like Mbeumo had against Burnley, where he controls it and puts it out to try and curl it into the far corner, that for me is a bit of a half chance. If we go by XG, a half chance is what Casemiro and Mbeumo had, and I think that's wrong. We should have scored goals in those games. And a friend of mine is a United fan. He doesn't do socials, but he said to me today that he said this is why the previous results of everything sort of amalgamates into today. He said because we should have got something against Arsenal with the volume of the ball and the chances we had. Those Kunle chances are now coming back to haunt us against Fulham. Should have been a much easier win against Burnley because we should have been 3-0 up at half time. That miss from Ahmad, like criticizing, praise the manager all you want, like that open goal sitter that he missed. We put that game to bed early and win it comfortably. We beat Fulham, maybe draw against Arsenal. Losing to City doesn't feel like it does today. And I think that's the issue here, where I'm frustrated with loads of things the manager has done. But what I'm not going to allow it to do is for me to pretend that just bringing in Iraola or Carrick or Oliver Glasner, who I don't really care who, the idea we may get a knee-jerk spike improvement in results. We could. But the idea that we're going to just be fixed, that the fans that are pushing that are the same ones who all summer said, without a brand new midfield, we're going nowhere. So how can it be that a new manager is going to fix us if we don't have that? I just want an honest conversation about Man United. I think that's my bugbear as a Red, is that the conversations always seem very lopsided, if that made sense. It's all, like I say, everything's a silver bullet. Remember last year, once Garnacho and Onana and Rashford were sold, we'll be cooking. We've all heard, how many Man United fans have you heard say things like that over the years? And again, and that won't sound horrible. The United fans with a brain all go, yeah, they're an issue, but they're not the reason we're as bad as we are. There's more to it than that. And yeah, I don't know. I'm not against him going, by the way. I'm not against him going. If they sacked him today, I'm not going to sit here and go, oh my God, we're finished. I do think what we might need, though, and I wanted to pose this to you before the end of this as an extension to this question. I think Man United have got to do what Spurs did. I think Man United, and this is what's crazy. I put some polls up on socials today, and I had like Oliver Glasner's name. I put Nuno Santo, and I put those two because they play free at the back. I then put Areola because of how well he's doing, and the other name I put on there was Gareth Southgate because of how heavily he's been linked to us. And then you get this reaction. My God, the state of those options. I think going for a superstar name or a potential superstar, young superstar, I think it's only going to leave us in a disastrous position again. I think what we actually need, forget who we are by history for a moment. We have a bang average squad. We need a manager who is good at getting the best out of a bang average squad. Someone like Oliver Glasner, yes, he has some very good players. He had Eze as an example. You know, Wharton's a very good player. Like, there's 3 or 4 really good players. Man United have a few very good players as well, but we have a bang average squad. I actually think for 2 or 3 years while we're building this squad, we need someone who can manage that. We really, really do. And
yeah, but the board also need to back the manager with the signings to play whatever football he wants to play.
Which is very true. Which is true. So go on.
Getting someone like Šeško who needs time to adapt at a period where you need results. Spending 70 million on Šeško doesn't make sense. Bringing in no centre midfielders doesn't make sense. Playing Luke Shaw as a left centre back doesn't make sense. This goalkeeper that you brought in from Belgium, I don't know anything about him, if he's good or not, but I guess we'll see. But again, you need somebody proven in. That's the spine of the team there that's not ready. Any manager that comes in is going to struggle.
I agree. My view on it, my friend, has always been we should have a direction that we're going in, irrespective of who the manager is, because anything can happen at any moment to a manager. They could want to leave, they may get off. I mean, there's a story coming out of Portugal that potentially Benfica are interested in Ruben Amorim. Now, if that is true and United think they might want him, we should probably hold back on sacking him because they might cover the content. They might pay us to take him off our hands. Chelsea famously did that with Sarri, where they were going to sack him. Heard Juve wanted him, so they just held off sacking him so the compensation was paid. But we should just be buying the right players for how we want to play and then hiring the right head coach to manage it. I like the idea of someone like Grasner. I don't think that we need to. Xavi sounds good. Areola, I love, but I do worry about the fact that we've just gone and got rid of most of our. We've got one. We've got Ahmad that can play there, but you've also then got this idea of, well, you could probably move Kunle out to the left and play Bruno in the 10. But we've just gone through a January and a summer where we've sold players and bought players that make playing 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3 harder. So you're going to instantly have an imbalance to this team again straight away. We're imbalanced even in this formation because we haven't got the quality, and we need to be careful. But I do think if Amorim goes, I know United fans hate hearing this because they do the whole, we've got to have standards. Yes, we do have to have standards, but we also have to know where we are in this moment. And in the reality of 2025, we have a bang average mid-table squad at best, and I think we need a manager. And I understand why we went for Amorim, but maybe, just maybe, one of the reasons it isn't working is similar to Ange at Tottenham. He needs a certain type of player and needs to have one of the best squads in their league to make it work. Outside of that, there's always going to be these fundamental holes. So I think we have to look at this. And Thomas Frank, ironically, was a manager I wanted us to go for because I felt that we needed someone like that who could do one of two things: build us to a point where we're ready to win and then we replace him, or build us to that point and also be good enough to get over the line. And you don't know whether Thomas Frank is or not until he gets to that stage, I think Arteta has done very similar at Arsenal, and people will debate whether he can get them over the line for a Prem or a Champions League. But the one thing that's a guarantee and a cert is that he's helped the club build that squad and team ready. And I think we need to almost look at that, but it means tempering expectations. There are some Man United fans who think bring in Xavi, get Belieber in January, and we could finish in the top 4. And I do think that way of thinking is cuckoo. I do. And I don't even mean it horribly. I just think it's important to temper the expectations. But maybe that's just me. Viewers, look, I'd love to get your thoughts, your opinions on this in the comments section below. So on the question, who went with facts? Who thinks it will save our season? Anyone go with fact? No, everyone's gone with fiction. So all those, it's good to see. It's good to see. You missed out Ange. No, Ange has gone to a club. I don't want him. Part of the problem, in my opinion, is our expectations as United fans. We are no longer the United of old. We need to be real, and we have to be humble in our expectations. It's true, but this is where it becomes a hard thing to even say. You're absolutely spot on, Evan. But then what you always get is, so you're just happy for us not to win games? No one is saying that Amorim's record is acceptable. But again, it's Ricky Gervais says it best. The problem with any discourse in this world, politics, football, cinema, music, it's just full of extremists in every direction. No one's saying the win percentage is okay, but equally the idea we're going to be back in the title race or in the top 4 race just by changing managers. Both those opinions, for me, are equally as unhelpful as each other, is what I'd say, Evan. You're right. Interim isn't the only problem. United would be in the top half. They laughed at others during their cleansing, and now they want instant results. Yeah, I do agree. Amorim's issue isn't him sticking to his style. The issue is him not fixing the gaps in the style. United's midfield is too open. Listen, I agree to a certain extent. I also think part of it is players. It really, really is. Players even not being, and it's him. He's put him in the wrong position. I mean, what does Ahmad have to do to get? Sorry, not Ahmad. Mainu do to get a run of games? He played quite well individually against Grimsby. Came on against Burnley and looked very, very good. Came on yesterday, 22 minutes, looked very, very good. If he doesn't start against Chelsea, then it's ridiculous at this point. Whether you like Mainu or not, he deserves a chance because he's played well. Squad Arteta started the rebuild with is worse than United's side. The squad is poor and the results aren't great, but they aren't even as bad as this. It's true. There is also something else to factor in with Man United. The pressure on Man United is even harder. And I know rivals don't like hearing this, but I'll stand on it to the day I die. Playing for Man United comes with a whole different level of pressure. And by the way, massive pressure at Arsenal. Gargantuan. But United now, you can see it. Like, even last year, as bad as we were, still the most watched club in the Premier League last year by about 60%. Like the media coverage, everything's huge. So yeah, it's double bubble for
I
us.
don't even think that the squad Arteta took over was that bad. Really, it just needed gutting out. We had like Aubameyang just won the Golden Boot joint. We just finished 5th the season before, so the squad wasn't as bad. I don't think Arteta had a big job to do, but it was mostly clearing out deadwood and getting rid of the wrong characters, which is what Arteta did probably, which
Yeah.
is what United have attempted to do. But I don't think it's all been player issues anyway. So
No, that makes perfect. No, I agree. I think it's, it's a lot of revisionism goes on with these types of conversations. I don't know if you find that. I certainly do. It's things that get rewritten. I don't know his contract, but hot take: Amorim wants to be sacked to cash out because he's always saying if they want to change the system, he has to go. I don't know if again where I'll defend Amorim in that is you can't ignore the questions that they're asking him. So we do this a lot as fans. A journalist will say, "Are you going to change your style? Do Ineos want you to change? Is there pressure on your job?" And he'll just say, "Well, I'm not changing. We've had those conversations before. If they want change, they have to move me on." He isn't voluntarily saying that. He's being asked a question. And, they did it to Raya last week. A lot of people are saying, Raya, that these new balls really fly around and are difficult. Yeah, we've got to adapt to the new ball. It gets clipped up as Areola blames the ball for the goal going in. We have to be fair that if you're being asked that question and you're answering it honestly, we've got to be very, very, I think we've got to be mindful of that at the very least. But viewers, do me a favor, please, and hit that like button. Get yourself subscribing to the show as well. Next question that we're going to jump into here. We'll keep it on the Manchester Derby theme, actually. We'll keep it in that order. But this one here, fiction or fact? And I'm going to go to Eni first on this. Erling Haaland once again proved that he is the best number 9 in the Premier League.
Oh, yeah, 100%. 100%. Like, 2 goals. I mean, United helped him out there by giving him that much space for the second goal to run into. Like, he literally had the whole Etihad to run into and score. But I think coming back from an international break where he's just scored, was it 5 or 6 in a game?
Yeah.
I think it just shows that there's levels to this. And Haaland is a level above any striker in the Premier League at the moment. And look, as long as Man City create chances, he's going to be there to put them in the back of the net. And I don't think there is no other striker in the Premier League that you feel more confident about when going through on goal. So, definitely.
What about you, Seb?
I genuinely find it slightly absurd that some people don't think he is. It's like the specific job he needs to do at Man City and what he's there for is to score goals, and he's elite at doing that thing. Like, I don't understand what so many people expect him to do more than what he's doing already. He's broken records. I think he's equaled or surpassed Drogba's record for goals in the Premier League already. It's just like Isak. Yeah, Isak is a good striker. He's a brilliant striker. He's overall play. He looks a lot better on the eye, blah, blah, blah. But for goal scoring, for power, for terrifying defences, I would much rather come up against Isak every weekend than Haaland. Haaland is clear. I don't think it's even close.
That's interesting considering Isak terrorizes Saliba and Gabriel on every single occasion he's played them. But okay, I appreciate that. I don't know. I feel like this is our...
You don't need to defend him anymore, mate. You don't need to. He's ditched you.
Oh, that's true. I don't, yeah. That rat.
So you think... Sorry, let me ask you this question directly so the viewers get... You think Alexander Isak is better than him?
I don't know. It's hard to say because I feel like this question is kind of reminiscent of the Shearer Henry argument. Like, one is a supremely better physically... Like, one is supremely better at scoring goals and one is a better player. And I think when you ask people the same question about Shearer and Henry, you get generally the same answer as you would this time. Is Haaland is a better goal scorer than Isak and is a goal machine, like everyone keeps saying. But Isak, for me, is a better player. He can do more than what Haaland can do. That, again, this isn't... People get this weird thing where as soon as you say, I feel one player is is a more all-round better player than another, it automatically makes the assumption that you therefore think the other person is a League One striker, shall we say, in this instance. But that's not the case. Like, Erling Haaland is an absolute on animal. He's a phenom. There is a reason he came into this league and he got as many goals as he did, and it's difficult. I guess it's what do you want when you say best number 9? Again, with the way teams play, is what do you want from your number 9? If you just want
do
guy,
you know what? I'm gonna jump in right as a host here. Let's not play semantics here. Let's not do.
Okay.
Do you mean finishing? I just mean the better number 9. If you're sitting there, you're building your team, and you need to pick a number 9. Are you picking Haaland or are you picking Isak?
I'm picking Isak because he gives me more than what Haaland can do. He's not as good as finisher as Haaland, but Isak gives me more. He can come deep, he can link up play, he can do all that things. But
Did you?
as
it
well
just
as score
depends
goals.
on how the squad. It just depends on how your squad's built up, though. Like,
Well, yeah,
Isak
but I've been.
So your squad. If you're Liverpool right now, their squad has got creativity everywhere. A City squad is what it is. Are you putting Isak at the head of either of those teams? Haaland's already at one of them. Isak's at the other. But if you're managing those clubs and the owners say you can have whichever one you want, are you putting Isak in the team or are you putting Haaland in the team?
Haaland all day.
Haaland, like easily, like you put creativity around Haaland, he's shown he'll put the ball in the back of the net for you.
You know what I found with Haaland yesterday as well is a lot of people say, he just scores goals. That's what he does. And obviously that's the most difficult thing in football. But yesterday he was one of the best defenders on the pitch as well. He was all over the place. It was probably the most complete performance I've ever seen from Erling Haaland. I looked at his stats. He takes a shot every 5.3 touches. There's just nobody close. Isak I like very much, but you can't even talk about him in the same breath. Haaland's like a robot. He's just been built to score goals, and that's what he does. He's just a phenomenal player. And like I said yesterday, he cut through Man United like butter, but then the next thing he was up defending as well. And I think he's sensational. Just the most incredible player. And Kane was a fantastic striker and a great all-round player, but as a number 9, I don't think there's anyone that comes close to Erling Haaland.
Interesting. On numbers, like Alexander Isak in the Premier League has 62 goals in all comps in 109 games. That's over 3 years. They've actually been in the Premier League the same amount of time, and people don't realize in that same time Erling Haaland has 129 goals. And 150 games. So some will say played more games, but availability is an ability, and we shouldn't ignore that because we don't for certain other players. Those numbers, and I get your point on Shearer versus Henry, but I think Haaland's better than Shearer. If we're putting him in goal scorer category, Erling Haaland is better than Alan Shearer. He just is. The man is what is he now? He's got 90 goals in 101 Premier League games. As brilliant as Shearer was, he wasn't scoring at that rate. He wasn't on
multiple seasons with 30 odd goals and multiple other seasons with 20 odd. Not to mention he already had a high record at Southampton, which was before the Premier League started, which people tend to discount, as well as having 2 massive knee surgeries, which had him out for 2 years total, which again, not a lot of people want to. So the numbers are there, and Shearer scored all kinds of goals as well. Don't get me wrong.
Shearer's a great, yeah.
Sorry,
go on.
I understand what you're saying, but I still don't put Haaland ahead of Shearer, not yet anywhere, because again, Shearer was doing this in an era of, I would say, better centre-back and defensive players anywhere. And he was doing this for teams that weren't Manchester City are today. Again, I don't want to sound like I'm an anti-Haaland guy, because Haaland is a phenom. But when we're putting him against people like Alan Shearer, I think that's a bit too far yet. But listen, I'm biased, so I guess I can admit that, and that's fine.
Is Alan Shearer even better than like Aguero?
Yes.
I don't think he is. I think Aguero is a better striker than Shearer was. The thing is, Shearer's just got that longevity because he was there for such a long time. No one's going to rack up the numbers because it's just players don't tend to stay that long at clubs anymore. anyway. I think if Haaland stays the same length of time in the Premier League as Shearer does, Haaland will score more goals than Shearer will. You can just say Shearer played in a worse team, but just the amount of goals, the amount of shots he gets off, it's just, I've personally never seen a striker like him.
Yeah, I just want to point this out, right? So I've just gone and done the maths on this. Alan Shearer, I'm not taking nothing away from him because he was brilliant, okay? But Alan Shearer, if we look at this here, at the age of 25, okay, so this was in 1995, he was 25 years old, had barely played had 2 games in Europe at that point, by the way, so nothing in the Champions League or anything like that. But at club level, and that was First Division and Premier League, all of it, 281 games, 136 goals, which is phenomenal. Erling Haaland at the same age, 284 goals in 355 games. The fact that he's played that many more games, he started playing earlier, he's been scoring in Europe since the age of 18, regularly scoring in Europe. I do get your point that maybe defenders were not as good back then, but that also then we also be very careful that we hear you apply that logic unilaterally. That means that I don't want to hear anyone talk about the Salahs of this world being better than the Ryan Giggses because the defenders were still the same. People pick and choose when in some arguments, defending was so much harder back then. In other arguments, the attackers are just better than the old guys. But the fact that he scored 150 more goals at the same age, I do think as a finisher, Erling Haaland is a level above Alan Shearer. And Alan Shearer was finishing. Erling Haaland, for me, is maybe the most talented goal scorer that Europe has ever produced. At his age, I can't think of someone with a better goals to game ratio at the highest level of the game. And I know that some of his goals were at a lower level, but then he's gone into the Champions League, gone into Germany, then into the Premier League and maintained it. So therefore, I count what he did elsewhere because he's maintained that ability. If someone scored 200 goals in a smaller league, moved to the Prem and scored like 5 goals in 100 games, you'd be like, well, those other goals, they're not as valuable in that regard. But he's just, I don't think people understand this. I know Isak's amazing and I rate him so highly. I think Yokore's fantastic. I rate him so highly. I just think Erling Haaland, we've almost been desensitized to how good he is. It's ridiculous. He's just on a different planet in terms of putting the ball into the back of the net for me. Different planet to nearly any other young striker. Listen, Michael Owen, Robbie Fowler, all these guys, they're all phenomenal. Erling Haaland, by 25 years of age. And you also got to look at what he's helped his team win with those goals as well. Premier Leagues, trebles, Champions Leagues, four-peats. It isn't just goals in a good team. It's goals, massive pressure, title runs. He hasn't scored in the final yet. That's the only thing you could level against it. Literally, is that the last thing for him to do on a club level is score in a final? And who's going to bet against him not doing that? But having said that, Henry never scored in a final, and he's a lot of people's Premier League GOAT. So it isn't that important if it doesn't go against him. But yeah, he's just out of this world, man. To that point, I mean, it's not even a fact for me. It's cast in stone that he's the best number 9 in the Premier League for me.
Yeah, I agree with that.
This here from Aya says Haaland is the better goal scorer, but Isak would fit easier inside many systems. You create tactics around Haaland whilst Isak fits into an existing one.
I suppose I don't. I think just Haaland's so good that you do create the system around him. You feed him the balls because he will score goals. I think it's just he does the job that he's supposed to do. I just don't get why people expect him to be doing more stuff. He does, especially when De Bruyne was in the team. He didn't have to do any of that because the combination between De Bruyne, probably the best midfielder we've seen in the Prem, and it's just yeah. I get what he's saying, but I think
it's a very good super chat. The audience are saying it. I'll say this though. I don't think that my view, because we know one of these teams was managed by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, so we're not going to pretend that Solskjaer's system and Pep's system are the same. But the man has done it for Mulder, who was managed by Ole. I don't think that Salzburg, Dortmund, and City all played the same style of football. And he's done it in every single one of them teams. So I get your point, but you look at the dichotomy of team, managers, systems, styles he's played in. I don't watch Norway play, but do they play like Pep's team? I don't think they would. I mean, Pep's system normally relies on top class to world class players to make it tick. Maybe they do. So that's potentially 5 different systems, styles, managers that he's played for, and yet he's delivered for all of them. So I do get your point that Isak can fit into multiple systems. But actually, when you look at both their careers, if we're going to go career-wise here, they both played in multiple teams and systems. It's only now that Isak's delivering. Erling Haaland's proven it 5 different times for 5 different managers in 5 different systems in 4 different countries and internationally. So the idea that he wouldn't, that if you just took Haaland, barring Man United, by the way, don't create chances for their strikers. I just think if you take him out and put him into any decent football team across Europe, Haaland just keeps scoring goals. So I don't get this idea that you have to build around him. I just think he's good enough.
But
personally,
also, could you not say that Pep adjusted his system to fit Haaland? Because if you look at Pep's career, he's never had like a big target man of a striker. It's always been your short, nippy strikers. So if the best manager to ever grace the game, in my opinion, is changing his tactics, why wouldn't anyone else?
Yeah. If you can get like nearly 100% goals to game ratio, why would you not adjust slightly? It's a great point. Tony here says KDB is a better footballer than Saliba, but I know who I want at centre back. Isak may be better at other traits, but at scoring goals, it's Haaland all day long. Position ability is more important than overall ability. I mean, yeah, we've gone that way with goalies again, haven't we? Have you noticed that? 3 years ago, it was I need it with my feet. Now everyone's like, we saw Donnarumma yesterday. Again, goals change games. It's not a cliche. It's true. Most goalies don't make that save. Most goalkeepers don't do what Donnarumma did. A lot of them, just because their arms ain't fucking long enough, let alone being good goalkeepers, that goes in. Anything can happen. We've seen it before in football, especially with City. They concede, they become vulnerable. Shot stopping, it's that being said, Onana saved 7 shots yesterday. The fucking ball. Thank you, mate. Cheers, Onana. Yeah, I know. Well, I could believe it. I absolutely could believe it. Viewers, give us your thoughts, give us your opinions. Make sure you hit the like button for us as well. Next question that we're moving on to. Do you remember these are all sort of related to the weekends? We want to bring stuff up from the weekend and everything else. Please feel free to. But what is the next question? I can't see it on my screen. That's because I shut the window down because I am soppy as a sack today. It is, and I quote, sorry, Pete, waiting for it to load. So, fiction or football? I'll go to Seb first on this. Chelsea have shown in their first 4 games they're a level below Arsenal and Liverpool. They won't be in the title race.
Yeah, I think that's a fact. I think just overall the squad, especially their back line, title-winning teams build up from the back. I don't think their back line's anywhere near strong enough. This is probably going to be a bit of a hot take, but I don't think their midfield is as... I think it gets a little bit overrated, their midfield. It is a very good midfield, but for example, when you watch certain people, they're like, oh, it's better than Arsenal's midfield, but then every single time that Chelsea midfield comes up against Arsenal win that midfield battle. It's even like Crystal Palace kept up with that midfield. It's just like multiple times, multiple games, that midfield I think Caicedo in there is a world-class player. I think Enzo's had a bit of resurgence. I still don't think he's as good as what other people say, but front line, there's too much going on there, especially there's so much turnover every summer, especially when you've got like Bino Gittins coming in, getting rid of Madueke, when Madueke, his underlying stats were far superior to him last season, and Bino Gittins was playing in a worse league, and he's not that much older than him. At the moment, Delap's gone out injured as well, so you're relying on João Pedro up front, who isn't an out-and-out striker, so I don't see where that's coming from. Obviously, Cole Palmer is a game changer himself, but I just don't think overall the squad has anywhere near enough quality in there. The goalkeeper isn't good enough either, and I think these games have shown it. Certain games have looked quite stale. Especially the opening game against Palace, they should have lost that game. And Joe, I just don't think they have enough killer edge or enough quality over the squad, especially when you compare it to Liverpool or Arsenal's squads. Really, even City are better than them, I think. And I said before the season started, I think Kate might remember this. I super chatted in saying Spurs were going to finish in front of Chelsea this season, and I don't think that's that mad of a shout considering how good Tottenham have looked. And I think just Chelsea have looked a bit stale, but I don't think they're anywhere near a title race right now.
We're saying, Kate, I mean, Well, the claim is these first 4 games have shown Chelsea won't be in the title race. Do you think that's too much of an exaggeration at this point?
Yeah, I'm saying fiction for that. I think it's way too soon. It's 4 games in. This is like the situation we had on Angie's first season when you had the crazy Tottenham fans coming on saying we were going to win the league after 10 games. It's only been 4 games. Look, people are going to slip up and drop points. I do think Chelsea lack a bit of experience. I think they're too reliant on youngsters. I think they need a couple of real experienced players to lead them. But I think to say that they're a level below Arsenal and Liverpool is disrespectful. I mean, some people would sit here and argue and say Arsenal are a level below Liverpool. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you'll get different people with different views on where they think the teams are.
Why do you think, Kate, sorry to interject you, why do you think it's disrespectful to say Chelsea are a level below Arsenal and Liverpool? What's disrespectful about it in your personal opinion?
I mean, I don't like Chelsea. Everyone will know that because I'm a Spurs fan. But I just think they've got a hell of a lot of new players come in. They've got to have time to gel. Same as Liverpool. I don't think Liverpool have gelled yet. And I just think after 4 games to just suddenly say they're a whole level below is disrespectful. If it comes to the end of the season and they're 20 points or 15 points off and they've dropped points and they've made loads of mistakes and whatnot, then, you know, you can have that conversation. But they've lost the lap now to December. And yeah, I just personally think that they're doing them an injustice, which I hate to say because I don't like them. But we went for a stage last season where we was all saying that Chelsea weren't going to be in the top 4 race. Then they ended up being in a mini title race, and then they ended up finishing top 4. So I just think it's not to get too carried away. It is only 4 games, and I don't think, I've got to be honest, I've watched all the games. I don't think there's any team I've watched so far and thought, wow. You know, they all look like they've got their own little issues. You know, Arsenal look shaky in places. Liverpool's defence doesn't look as good as it could do. I think every team so far looks beatable, and I just think it's too early. It's too early to say about any of the teams, in my opinion, apart from West Ham, which we can safely say they're shit. But most teams in the top teams, I think it's just too early to rule them out.
Yes, I got it. I got back just in time.
Go on, Kunle.
This is the Chelsea segment, Abby.
Well, yes. I'll ask you the question in case you missed it. So, Kunle, so the question is: fiction or football? Chelsea have shown in their first 4 games that they are a level below Arsenal and Liverpool. They won't be in the title race.
Fiction.
Fiction. They are on your level.
Of course they are, man. Of course they are. Look, there's no football team that spends the money they have, won the trophies they've done in the last couple of years, that should be ruled out of a title race just because of 4 games. Look, they're still one of the 2 unbeaten teams in the league. Am I right or am I wrong?
You're right.
You're right.
Exactly. So at the end of the day, if they're unbeaten and we've been beaten and we're one of the favorites, it don't make sense to write them off just because of these
They're
games.
only unbeaten because of a VAR error. They should have lost the first game.
The results are the results.
VAR cost us 2 points yesterday. So what are we doing here?
We don't look into semantics and all these things here. We look at the facts. That's what this is. The facts are they spent a lot of money, a squad with 2 players for every position. So for me to rule them out would be silly. Terry, you saw me the last 2 seasons. I've been very critical against Chelsea. But what do they keep doing? Proving me wrong. I'll be mad to think these guys that have gone on to win the World Club Championship, spend that extra money they have this summer, got João Pedro cooking more than I ever seen him cook for Brighton. So why should I ignore them just because of a couple of games? If we're having this conversation after 10 games, is maybe a different scenario. Because for me, I don't make any drastic or crazy decisions after 3 games, which is why I even said after the Arsenal game, even if they're the team that loses the Arsenal-Liverpool game, they're still in it because it's only 3 games in. There's so much football left to play. So it'd be stupid because Chelsea have proven that even though they've not necessarily played very good, they've managed to they're still unbeatable as of now. So let's not jump on it too much. Cole Palmer's back in the side again as well. So you saw the difference he made as soon as he came on. So I think it's too early to start writing Chelsea off. So ask me again after 12 games.
I hear that. And obviously you're a Chelsea fan. Do you think this statement is too premature about Chelsea?
Way too premature. Like, what you have to factor in to this year is that we had a week's preseason. Do you know how much preparation you need to go into a Premier League season? And you gave us a week. And even with the players you're seeing now, we've got injuries. I mean, Dalap got injured.
Aww.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Bro, hey, do you know what? Do you know when you lot lost the right to do this stuff? It's probably not your fault. Chelsea fans a couple of years ago say we don't need to do rebuilds like anybody else. We're big Chelsea. We got the big money, big checks. And now you're complaining after winning another trophy because you got a couple of weeks less than everyone else. You're big bad Chelsea with a massive squad. So
Bro,
I'm just saying, don't look for any pity on this panel. We don't hear it. We don't hear it. No pity here, bro. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, I've always said when it comes to Chelsea, you'll see the best of this team like towards October sides, because I think we're still building up fitness. I think the manager's still implementing new things. I mean, you saw with the starting lineup we had yesterday against Brentford, where you had Hato, Fofana coming back from injury, who got Buonanotte. Like, it was a very changed side, and like you can tell they're not used to the way that we play football. When we brought the big boys on, James, Kukurea, Palmer, you saw a completely different side. So I think it's way too premature to be saying that we're levels below that Liverpool's and your Arsenals. We're there. I said we'll win the Premier League, and I'll say that again with my chest. I said that.
Say that, bro. Yes.
I said that.
You lot are my favorites as well. I said we win the Premier League because he's talking about midfield. I'm sorry, there's no midfield in world football that can compete with mine at the moment. I don't care. Exactly. You tell them, bro. 100%, bro.
You are joking, right?
Let him finish speaking, please.
I promise you.
Go on.
Their midfielders, they'll lose their heads. And that's because of the manager I have. I believe in Maresca. I believe he's the guy that's going to take us over the line. And it's way too early, man. And what's 29th of November? You lot will see, bro.
Okay.
Who's the you lot, by the way?
Seb, I want to just jump to Seb for a moment. Seb, he just said that they've got the best midfield in the world. Your reaction to that, as you've just said, that it's a level below Arsenal's.
It is. Like you say all of this, but then you come play Arsenal and you haven't won one midfield battle at all. We've beat you. When was the last time you beat us? It's not even in the top 3 best midfields in the league.
Rise to it.
It's outrageous.
I want to have a conversation, Kunle. Come on, bro.
I know you beat PSG, but your midfield's not better than PSG's either. It's just not. It's not better than Barcelona's midfield. It's not better than Real Madrid's midfield. It's not even better than Bayern Munich's midfield. So until I see you do something in a proper competition that's not a Europa Conference League, actually properly challenge for a league title, we'll see in the Champions League. But for me, I don't rate the transfer window you've had. I think you're weak in multiple areas of the pitch. Your starting 11 and squad is nowhere near Arsenal or Chelsea or Liverpool's or Arsenal's or Man City. Do you genuinely think that your starting 11 and squad is at the same level as Liverpool or Arsenal?
My starting 11 and squad can compete with anyone in Europe, bro. I genuinely believe that.
Okay, well, I just honestly don't see even in the underlying numbers. It's just there's far too much turnover up top as well. You've had no relaxation. Like, you don't have that killing edge. You don't have that striker up front, especially now Delap's out injured at the moment. It's just I just don't see the cohesion there at all, and I haven't seen it yet. I didn't see it when midway through last season you went on that drought and you were absolutely terrible. I don't see where it's coming from. You don't have that cutting edge. Your defense is not good enough. You moan about your goalkeeper all the time. Do you really think you're going to win anything significant with the level of defender and goalkeeper?
Last, 20-something matches. You know that, right?
What's that?
We've only lost 2 of our last 20-something matches. You know that, right? Like,
yeah, but it's not just
the goalkeeper that you lot are going on about. Goalkeepers in
respect the
modern day
world
football.
champions, bro. Respect them.
I'm not respecting a
Sorry, bro,
pre-season
sorry.
tournament that they won.
Forgive my Arsenal fellow over here, bro.
Pre-season
I'm so
tournament, bro.
sorry.
You know what you have to do to be in that tournament? You haven't done that.
It does make me laugh when I hear an Arsenal fan mocking someone about trophies when would they win nothing. I mean,
We're the third most decorated club in England, by the way.
No,
The
I'm
third
talking
most
about
decorated club in
recently.
England.
Hey,
Well,
We're
that
just
was
going
a
to
low
remove
blow. That was
everything else then. Remove all of it. Okay, then fine. Yeah, we don't win anything then. Yeah, just remove every single trophy we've won.
I'm sure
Then,
they
yeah, we
would
don't
win
win
the Club
anything.
World Cup all day long.
It's a pre-season friendly. They played Brazilian teams half the tournament and lost to one. Do you really think that makes them the best team?
Bro,
Half
lost to
the
one.
best teams in Europe.
We
Half
lost
the
to
best
one.
teams in
bro.
Europe weren't
They've
at that
got-
tournament as well, by the
Bro.
way.
They've got one of the most exciting Brazilians in world football right now on the right wing. They got João Pedro pushing to be the number 9 for the World Cup for Brazil. We never know. We got the Gittins brother. I don't know. Anyway, we need to talk about him. We got Cole Palmer.
Oh, keep going,
One of the
Kunle.
best
Keep going,
ends in
Kunle.
world
Got to big him
football.
up, man.
You got Caicedo, what Mr. 105 million himself. Are you crazy? With that screamer he scored on the weekend. Enzo, what World Cup and Copa America winner Enzo Fernandez, bro. I see what you're saying in terms of on paper you got the best midfield in the world, bro. I see what you're saying. I see it. The thing with Chelsea, yeah, on paper, I genuinely believe they have the most talented squad in world football. On paper. On paper. What's that gonna amount to? What that's gonna amount to at the end of the season, we don't know. But again, I'll be stupid to doubt they're in this title race because every time let me tell you, this is why I'm here, guys. You don't know how I've got here. I've doubted that they would sell us Kai Havertz. He's at Arsenal. I doubted that they would sell us Noni Madueke. He's at Arsenal. I doubted that they win any trophy, let alone 2 trophies last season. And they've got... Look, please, I don't want to go against Chelsea again. If they say that they're in the title race, they are in the title race. If they say they're the world champions, they're the world champions. Go for it, man.
I hear you on that. I want to mention about the game at the weekend. Obviously, there was rotation ahead of the Champions League game, and the big boys came on. You should have seen it through, Annie. Like Garnacho comes on, helps set up the goal, screamer from Caicedo. What did you make of the equalizer? Because on the reaction show, most of the Chelsea fans, and to my surprise, and I still don't believe them, I believe it's because of how much they banter Arsenal for moaning about refs, therefore they feel they can't. But I mean, that was an absolute robbery of a goal. I'm not sure if Sky touched on it on Ref Watch. I haven't had a chance to see it today. But you must be fuming with that officiating. It was clearly offside, shouldn't have been given. You should have had a win on Saturday evening.
Exactly. We got cheated out of 2 points because the referee can't see that the attackers won the flick on and the guy standing in the offside position has interfered with play. Whether or not he touches the ball, interfering with play is when you influence the decision of another player on the pitch. And I think it was Reece James that was there that would have cleared the ball if he wasn't there. So, bro, people are telling me, look, you've cashed in 2 checks already with VAR this year and this third one has bounced. So I'm not even going to get into tit for tat with these kind of people that are saying, that the referee should have. I'm not hearing it. We dropped 2 points. Blatantly look at that right there. Flick on one. What play? Who's that? I don't even know who that is in the offside.
Collins flicked the ball on, and Atara then goes to play the ball. So it gets flicked on by Collins, making him offside positionally. He then challenges for the ball, stops Reece James get into it, and then it goes to the back post.
Exactly. And how a referee with VAR and everything can't see that that's offside. Honestly, it baffles me. But you know what? We lick our wounds and we go again, man. VAR isn't going to stop what's going to happen at the end of the season, in my opinion.
Yeah, I didn't really hear that in his explanation. I'm not going to lie. At the end, you were like, oh, yeah, if VAR, nothing can stop us. You were very much using it as an excuse until the very end of your statement. You're like, but do you know what? VAR is not going to stop us. Please, bro. But I guarantee you, let me just educate about this panel here. No one on this panel is going to give you any pity when it comes to Chelsea. When it comes to refereing decisions either. I've been told that because your manager spends money, you're not allowed to complain about referees. So I come on this panel and I never complain about referees. I say my team, get it done. Get it done so you don't have to rely on referees. I don't know if it's the right mentality for me, but I've been sticking to it for the last couple of years. So no one can question me about me talking about referees in the positive or the negative. I just don't talk about them at all. And the type of money you lot are spending, you lot shouldn't be talking about them either, man.
But also, like, I hear it because Cole Palmer had opportunities to kill the game. Kelleher, a lot of people are saying it was a good save. Some are saying that he went straight down the middle. I don't know. Neto went for a shot when he should have squared it to João Pedro. So there were chances to like properly kill the game off. So I hear it from that point still.
There is. I
also
don't know
have
about
been
you
held
guys,
out by
and I'd love
referees
to
as well.
get everyone's opinions on this. Do you feel the banter economy, though, has damaged honest discourse? Because, yes, you could have scored more chances, but every team misses more than it scores and always has done. You probably couldn't find a team who scores much more than 2 in every 10 proper chances they have on goal ever in Premier League history. So when a team scores 2-3 goals in the game off of 20 shots, that's a very high standard. You then concede a goal or you have a goal ruled out because of a terrible mistake or just ridiculous view of a situation. You know, Fulham felt that recently as an example. And I feel like we've almost lost the ability to compartmentalize that. And for Chelsea fans in this instance to be able to say, and I do blame Arsenal for this, not Arsenal fans directly, but when Arteta was appointed and you had certain fans that wanted him out and they hated him from day one, they sort of started this and it spread to every other club. Because the world is now full of extremists, polarized people, nothing is allowed to be discussed that could be used as a potential excuse against the person I despise. And I feel like it's gone so far now that we can't have, you try and have honest conversations and people don't know, I can't do that. Why? Because no, we have to take 100% accountability at all times. You did score 2 goals. You were leading. It's absolutely offside. It doesn't make you a weak fan. It doesn't, like Chelsea football fans and the club complaining about that decision doesn't mean you're weak and have no accountability, therefore you won't win trophies. Do you know how I know this? In the greatest 2 years your club has had in Premier League era, in my opinion, the back-to-back Jose years, I'm saying what the words I'm about to use about Jose, please take it here in England, here in the UK, we swear about people as a sign of affection. That motherfucker, the amount of times he moaned about decisions. Fergie moaned about refs in his sleep. Their teams weren't losing. Fans saying that's a bad decision isn't going to make your football team lack accountability and not want to win. Because winners also moan about bad refereeing decisions. I just feel we've lost sight of that as football fans a little bit. You know, you try and bring it up. I don't talk about it. Why? Because we should have scored 8 goals today and therefore it wouldn't have mattered. I just feel like we're going a little bit too far with it. Maybe it's just me, but it just feels like we're sort of, I don't know, feels a bit too far.
You're right. I would never have had this opinion on not even talking about refs if I didn't get the backlash every time I did use the reference. So I was like, do you know what? You can't win or lose when you talk about them. So let me just remove that out of the equation and discuss everything else in the game. As you said, Terry, it's not necessarily right, but it's just easier than having to deal with, you're making excuse. It's just sometimes it just gets jarring.
Well, the excuses thing, I sat there on a stream once with Igal, and Igal came on, why did Arsenal lose? And he said, I'm making up what he said because I don't remember the specifics, but it was Saliba had a really bad game today. Declan Rice wasn't where he was meant to be too often. Havertz missed three really good chances. It was so poor. And I really hated Arteta's subs. That's what he spoke about. Every comment, excuses. I'm like, that's not an excuse. Since when did that become an excuse? Used to be, and this is where like we'll kill fan content. I mean this honestly, we will kill fan content and everybody will lose. What used to be considered an excuse was Ty saying, we must not forget that it's been raining. That's when we all used to laugh and go, you can't give that excuse. That is what used to be considered a crazy excuse. Now, when someone will say, my manager made terrible subs, Mbeumo made a really bad game, Bruno's out of position, and Luke Shaw ain't good enough. Excuses. And it's all people really want to hear, as you say, is my club's shit. We're dead forever. We're never coming back. And that's not the truth. But we've got to this point because of the banter economy where that's all a lot of people in the comments want to hear. Now, what content creators have to remember is the vast majority of your viewers don't comment. The vast majority don't hit the like button. That's just sad reality. I wish you all did, but you don't, right? I could have a show that does 40,000 views, might only have 400, 500 comments. You don't have, so you've got to remember, you will kill what you're doing if everything you do is going to the nth degree and being extreme. Don't be led by it. Because for me, I've seen it kill a lot of conversations that I think are really interesting to have. And I'm just wanting to point that out on the show today. It's the excuses thing. It's ridiculous, really. Ignore it. People are just trying to goad you. Like people, I get new YouTubers that come on and do this. I'll give an opinion. And they're like, oh, Terry, see, one of the comments was telling me I was right. It's like, bruv, no, and maybe it's because I've done it a long time. I'm like, nah, bruv, they don't agree with you. They're just egging you on to keep saying silly things. So they're telling you you're right. Don't fall for it.
So they can clip you up, literally.
Yeah. So they want you to keep saying these things. It's like, don't go. By the way, the same people, if you say something like that extreme about their club, they're straight on your neck. But when you're doing it about your own club, they're on you the whole time. And yeah, again, how do I know this? I've just been doing this 10 years. I've seen it all. I've seen the cycle, man. I've seen the change. And it ain't so great. Terry, you make excuses for United. Reasons are more productive. What excuses do I give? Name me 5 excuses that I've given, but apart from reasons. I bet you can't name 5 excuses I've ever given. In fact, if you can name 5 excuses where they make no sense and they're ignoring the real problems that I've made, I'll make you a promise, Twisted Bubba. I'll pay your rent or mortgage for 12 months. They're set in front of 2,500 people. Find me the excuses, not the reasons. I bet you can't do it, my friend. List them. I dare you. Moving on from Chelsea, next question I have for you. Let me just timestamp this on my screen. The next question, we're going to go on to Liverpool. Fiction or fact, Liverpool's 4 wins are unsustainable. They'll be found out sooner rather than later. Any, what are you saying?
Facts. I mean, what was it? I think the earliest winner was 83 minutes, was it? Or latest winner? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Something like, I think looking at the game against Burnley, no Liverpool fan can sit there and tell me they thought they were going to score in 90 minutes, bro. Like, for Hannibal to do what he did there, you look at the Newcastle game as well, they lucked out with 10 men. We had Rio Ngumo come off the bench and score his first ever Premier League goal. Salah looks miles off it. Like, his touch is back. Like, nothing's working for him. Like, I think, yeah, eventually teams are gonna. I said that Liverpool can get hit on the transition before ball was even kicked, and if that was going off of the Community Shield, I think Palace done them on the counter attack twice. Bournemouth, I know they won that game, but they done them on the counter attack many times, and yeah, they can't keep getting away with this, man. They just can't. I think Liverpool, sooner rather than later, the shit's gonna hit the fan, and their players better find out quick. I think McAllister's been off it this season as well. I know he got injured in the Burnley game, but he hasn't looked like the player he was last season. The only one I think that can hold their head high is Gravenberch. I think regardless of what's been going on in Burnley, he was a player still. Some of the stuff he was doing, I was applauding him. Like, he was good. But yeah, no, Liverpool, I think sooner rather than later they'll get found out.
What you're saying, Kane? Do you think Liverpool are walking a tightrope? Do you think this unsustainable way of winning? By the way, it's a national record. It's the first time ever in top flight English football a team has won 4 games on the bounce by scoring in the last 10 minutes of a game. Is it unsustainable? And/or will they be found out?
If they keep playing this way, then yes, it is unsustainable. But I don't think they'll get found out. I think they'll just improve. I think we've not seen a full game of Ekitike. I think Ekitike was another player you should have said who could keep their heads held up high, because he's been amazing. Same as Van Dijk as well. I feel like the defense has been good enough, apart from the odd. I mean, Kirkes has been looking real shaky at the moment. I think he needs to get up to speed with Liverpool. Van Dijk's been supreme. Kanate's looked a bit wobbly in stages. I know Frimpong's been in and out, and I think that's all they've been. They've not really had a stable team even in these 4 games. Wirtz has not adapted yet to the league. He's got. I felt like Burnley should have been a game where we see the best out of Wirtz, but we haven't, which I guess is a bit concerning, I guess, from a Liverpool point of view. Salah's always going to come. I'm not sure what people expect from Salah. I think Salah does what he does, which is yes, he's anonymous, but he just comes out with moments. He's a moments player, and he showed again yesterday that at the moment you need Salah, he's there and he puts it in the back of the net. They've still got Isak to come into this team. I think they'll be fine. I think if they carry on this way, obviously it's not sustainable, but I just think they'll improve, and I think they'll go on. Whether or not they win the league still, I don't know. I think it's still up to them and Arsenal, myself personally, at this point in time. I'll be interested once the Champions League games start. I think that's when we're going to really see whether or not this Liverpool squad, because it is thin in places, if they can still maintain and win this league.
What are you saying, Kunle? Do you think people are reading too much into Liverpool's form performances? Because I suppose the question I would pose, just to put it out there, is what's more likely? This form continues, this form improves, or this form gets worse?
You know, like Liverpool remind me now of you see the latter ages of Floyd Mayweather's career, where people were never really left super impressed, but he always just did enough to get it done. And that's where Liverpool at for me. Like, I don't see a scenario where this can be a fact. It's fiction for me, because they figured out a way to, whatever the opposition are doing, we can find a way to get it done. And I'm Nigerian. I'm quite a spiritual person. I think even if they get close, the spirit of Diogo Jota is there. It's carrying them. At the end of the day, the power of the emotion that loss has brought to the team. You can't teach that anywhere, bro. You can't, like that. Like if like the amount of times his name might be used for motivation, rightly or wrongly, it's gonna have an effect. And I believe there's so many variables. I think the rest of the Premier League are more likely to have to take their chances against Liverpool than this not be sustainable. Because last season proved to us that everyone was saying something similar last season, Terry. This is not sustainable, because they were doing some similar stuff last season, but they found a way to win enough points to win the league. So that's the reason why I think it's fiction. There's so many variables. Isak's just come in now. They've not really had a fully fit squad at all this season yet. So I think it's way too premature, considering they're the champions as well. And they've got, for me, the top 3 players in the world in Mo Salah there as well. So anything's possible with him there.
What are you saying, Kate? Do you think people are... Do you think that... I suppose I want to pose it this way. A lot of Liverpool fans in my comments are saying people are just saying this because they probably looked at the performances and each game thought, oh, Liverpool are going to drop points, thank God. And they haven't. So there's a sort of outcry of bitterness in this.
I think this is fiction. I don't think Liverpool are out of second gear yet. They've played against Newcastle. They've played against Arsenal. They've played against Bournemouth. All 3 of them have got really good defences. I think they've still got a gel. I think they've got the most new players coming to their team as any other. I think Wirtz and Salah, I'm not sure how that's working quite yet, because Wirtz is taking up a lot of the room that Salah usually plays in. But look, I think there is an element of bitterness. I think there's an element of copium. At the end of the day, I think it's more worrying that Liverpool aren't playing to their best and they're still unbeaten, and they're still winning games. You know, whether it be in the last 10 minutes or not, who cares? It doesn't matter if you win in the first 5 minutes, the last 10 minutes, as long as you win. I think that there's still an element that they need to adapt to this to the new system with the new players. But yeah, I think people are looking into it too much. I think it's nice for people to think that it's not sustainable, but I agree with whoever said that. I think Liverpool just carry on improving and evolving the more that they play together. So I still think out of everybody in the league, I still think Liverpool are the ones to beat, and I still think they will win the league, even though it's early days. It's just going to take time.
Seb?
The bit for me as obviously another team in the title race is it worries me a bit. I think the frailties that a lot of people said before the season started have been apparent, especially in the first two games. It was very much defensive frailties that caused them to nearly drop points because they were scoring goals in those games. So it wasn't necessarily their attack that was down those games. But then it was the complete polar opposite in the Arsenal Burnley games where they were completely struggling to break down a low block. They weren't creating enough verts. Has been a bit anomalous. But at the end of the day, they're playing pretty poor in a lot of those games, but they're still winning them. So imagine what they're going to be like when they're actually playing well and they start clicking. That's the bit that worries me. I hope they have a bit more of a downturn. They do have a pretty thin squad. That's the thing I'm clinging on to. An injury to a Salah or a Van Dijk, and they're extremely thin. That's the only thing that is in Arsenal's favour, really. But if they do start clicking, they're going to be pretty unstoppable, especially with Isak coming in. But there is flags, there is red flags. It was funny reading some of the comments I made after I made my TikTok reaction to the Liverpool game, where I was like, Liverpool are poor today. They didn't really deserve to win the game. They didn't create enough. Half the comments from Liverpool fans were like, well, Burnley shouldn't deserve to win because they didn't create anything. They just parked the bus, blah, blah, blah. It's just like, it's Burnley. They're not going to come out and attack you. Like, they played for a draw, really, and they nearly got it. So just because you attacked more doesn't mean you deserve to win the game. That's not how football works. But if they do start clicking, it will be scary. But there are signs. But I do think the trajectory will rather be once the players get bedded in, Isak comes in, they'll start playing better. Because Ekitike has been fantastic since he's come in. Gravenberch Birch is fantastic. They've already got Salah there. So I'm more worried about them getting better rather than them slowly sloping off, for example.
Do you know what it is for me? Like, I'd love it to be fiction. It's a bit of both, really, that statement. The statement's a bit of both because it is unsustainable in the sense of if their performances stay at this level all season, they're not winning. They're going to lose games. They're going to lose games. You're not. The fact that no club in top flight English football history has won the way they have done tells you it's unprecedented. But and football fans do. I know numbers play a part of the game, stats play a part of the game. And so does the eye test. But people will do. I've heard a few people do the indicator thing that I'm really beginning to dislike. I've seen no indications. What do you mean? I've seen no indications that they're going to improve. What do you mean? I've seen nothing in the 4 games that says they're going to get better. Yeah, I mean, this is the problem when you look. You have to see an actual indicator rather than knowing a football club. I'll give you an example. When Chelsea were playing Real Betis in the final. What was the score at halftime? Was it 1-1?
1-0, I think.
It might have been 1-0 still.
Yeah, Chelsea were losing 1-0.
I went into one of the group chats and when the issue is it Real Betis? I said Chelsea will come on strong in the second half and win. And I've got about 3 or 4 people say, well, there's no indicators of that. I said, but there is. Chelsea have all season been better in the second halves. And if you do any research on Real Betis, the second half of their games is when they've started to physically fading games. Plus, they're up against a Premier League team that are bigger, stronger, and faster. They're going to fade. And what happened? They faded. And I sort of had a joke, like I told you. Well, yeah, but there was no indicator. You kind of guessed, but there was no indicators. I was like, yeah, there's no indicators in the game they were going to fall off. But what I've seen in other matches, I remember years ago, United beat Liverpool. Park Ji-sung got the winner. And I put a few bets on. I put a bet on us to get the winner between the 60th and 70th minute. And my mate was, why you done that? I said, have you not been watching Liverpool recently? You get to around 55, 60 minutes and the team dies. Its legs just go. I haven't noticed that. I went, well, I have. It happened in the game, right? It happened in loads of matches. And sometimes it isn't about what you see in that moment in that game. It's about looking at things historically as well, or at least recently. And we know how good Liverpool generally are. We know the players that they've brought in. Some guys are still being, like Kirkes hasn't found his feet yet. Frimpong isn't starting games. They've had their injuries at the start. I just look at it and on a logical level, they're more likely to get better performance-wise than stay at this level or get worse. And they've got the quality of players they do. So as much as if, for instance, Man United were playing poorly and nicking these wins right at the end, I'd say, yeah, I'd be really worried about it all falling apart because the performances aren't there. But I'm just not with Liverpool. I think it's rivals. Well, I think we do this a lot now. We speak about what we want to happen rather than what we think's going to happen. I think a lot of that is going on with Liverpool. I hope they stay at this level. I hope they fall off. But instead of saying you hope, because hopium on social media content now is looked at as a weakness, it's not. That's what's happening. That's fact. I'm standing on business. It's like, bro, you ain't got to act tough. Just tell me what you're hoping for. It's fine. No one thinks any less of you. Get out of the manosphere and speak like a normal human being again. Come on now. Let's do some super chats. Here. First one says, that's Burnley's first loss at home in 14 months, by the way. Wow. I mean, yeah, championship, but fair. Do you know what? I do feel sorry for them. 2 games running, last minute, conceded penalties. 2 stupid penalties as well. Like, they really should have got them. That's like 2 points against United and Liverpool. They've dropped there. Who knows what they're going to go if they go down? Can you imagine if it's by a point or 2? Can you imagine? It was. I mean, a lot of people have been getting at Jamie Carragher today for calling Hannibal brain dead. I didn't really mind that too much. I did think it was a brain dead moment. Like, he didn't need to do it.
It was very silly.
Fiction or football? Salah is Henry's side man. They let the only one who could compete with Henry go to Barcelona. Who's that? Coutinho?
I don't understand this.
I don't get that.
Yeah, I don't get it either. Let me know, bruv. All I heard were excuses why Chelsea didn't win. Is what Wayne Sage says there. Big up Wayne. Equal then with Palace game is what Ron says here. The referee excuses, huh? Yeah, well, Wayne, you know as a goo knows, watch. That's why some Chelsea fans that come on this platform won't talk about it because of what they moaned about you guys for. My man Kunle is planting the seeds. We will harvest. Yeah, we all knew what Kunle was doing, man. We all knew what Kunle was doing there. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. It's a great quote. It's a great quote. And holds a lot of water. Fiction or fact? I'm going to go to Seb first on this. Fiction or fact? Noni Madueke has made football fans look foolish. At 48 million, he looks like a bargain.
Well, I remember coming on this the first time I did one of these. It was that tier list, and I said Noni Madueke was a good signing, and then everyone called me mental. And at the moment, I'm getting proved right, aren't I? He was exceptional for England. Even his underlying stats, he was elite one-on-one take-ons. The only person who took on more dribbles than him last year in the league was Doku. The only criticism I had with him then was his final piece. He goes a bit brain dead when he gets into football. But so far this season, I think, especially the last couple of games, he's been fantastic. Obviously, he's got to carry this over for a whole season. He might just be running on a little bit of momentum, a fresh start, shall we say, because obviously I follow a lot of the Arsenal social media pages. He's very good friends with a lot of the Arsenal squad, especially the England players. So I think there's that natural chemistry there anyway, which is great to see. I think he's fit in really well. But so far, yeah, I definitely think he's proving people wrong, especially when you look at how before the season started, not to pick on Newcastle, but everyone was saying, well, you could have got Alanga for this much money, blah, blah, blah. But no one's really been talking about Alanga that much, whereas Madueke has actually started to give people props, to be fair to them. They have come out and said Madueke does look really good. But I wouldn't say people need to apologise right now because he does need to carry it on long term. And Saka will take his place eventually on the right-hand side. But I think so far I've been proven right. I think he's been absolutely fantastic. He's exactly what I thought he'd bring. He's just the antithesis of what we want Martinelli to be doing. He does what we expect Martinelli to do. He's taken on his man. He's not scared. Even when he fails, he goes again. So he's doing what I asked him to. I think he's been fantastic. But it still needs to be over a longer term period of time. He can't just do it for a few games and then drop off. Because he did do that at points at Chelsea where he battered Wolves and then kind of. But he's a young player. He's going to have ups and downs. But I think he's been fantastic. So yeah, fact. I think it's a fact. He has started to prove people wrong. Yeah.
What are you saying, Kate? Oh no, Kate's talking. I'll come back to Kate in a second. Okay, I'll come back to Kate. Annie, what are you thinking? Do you think, I mean, he's your ex-player. Do you think he's starting to look like good value for 48 million with his performances so far, especially at the weekend against Forest?
Well, I can't talk for every Chelsea fan, but me personally, I wasn't happy with selling him to Arsenal because I knew they would get this version of him. Like, I don't think there's any big improvement between the Madueke we're seeing now and the Madueke we saw last season. He's doing everything that I knew he could do. There's not a fullback in the Premier League that I wouldn't trust him 1v1 against. My only gripe with him has always been going like the final pass or final shot. Like he nearly gets there. Like sometimes he'll cut to the byline with his right foot and he'll scuff the cross, or he'll cut inside and shoot and it just gets blocked, or he'll just like blaze it over. But what was the question? Going back to the the fiction or fact question is Noni Madueke has made football fans look foolish. At 48 million, he looks a bargain. And I think that's prefaced on the fact that people laughed at this deal from Arsenal, said it was crazy, stupid, ridiculous, an absolute bum. It's going to be like Raheem Sterling again. Do you think he's proving people that had that opinion wrong? Yeah, no, 100%. And I think the people that had that opinion didn't watch much of him last season. Because I think anyone that watched Madueke a lot last season would know that if he's on the right, if he's a backup for Saka on the right, then give Saka 70 minutes and then you've got Madueke running at you for for 20 minutes at the end of the game. I don't think there's a fullback in the Premier League that wants that. So I think, yeah, he's making them look silly. And I think people forget he's a young player as well. I think he's 2 seasons in the Premier League, 2.5. He came in January. So, and he's only like, 22? There's I've always believed that there's a player there. And I think, look, right now, if he keeps doing what he's doing, like he's gonna make all of them look stupid. So, yeah, I think that's a fiction or fact. I can't remember.
Fact is what you go. What about yourself, Kate? Noni Madueke, what would you make of this start? Do you think people are getting a bit too giddy too soon, or are they right to call out the early criticism? Well, before he even kicked the ball.
No, look, I've got to be honest and say I thought it was going to be a bit of a flop signing, but he's proved me wrong. I think he's looked Arsenal's best player so far this season. Don't ask me what that was. There was this really loud buzzing. I went in the bathroom and the electric toothbrush had turned itself on.
By the way, people, I put this comment up. This is the comment is from Kate's husband, not some random bloke. Just in case you're new to watching the show.
But yeah, I think he's been England's best player. I think he's been Arsenal's best player, and yeah, so far so good. Not really. I mean, I hope so far so good doesn't last and he drops like a stone. But at the moment, he's proven me wrong completely. I mean, Jimbo, when he signed, Jim said to me, "Is it a good signing for Arsenal?" I went, "No, he's not all that. He's not very good." And now it's like, wow, I didn't really see this. But then I obviously didn't watch enough of him. So yeah, I think he's proving people wrong for sure.
Kane?
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree. I agreed with Seb on the tier list. I thought Madueke was a good player. I think he's doing what he's was brought in to do, which was to back up Saka if and when Saka gets injured, which is what he's done. He's fitting on that right hand side while Saka's been injured, and he's been putting in the performances. I mean, he still hasn't added the GA, I guess, that people would like to have seen maybe, but he's doing what he should be, which is being a threat and being a threat. As everyone said, I think everyone's waxed lyrical enough about him already. He's doing the business, and yeah, I think the people who said he's going to flop, he's not all that. All those Arsenal fans who signed a petition might sort of look back at this and go, maybe we kind of did ourselves a disservice here, writing off our own player before he even kicked the ball. I think that people just need to be a bit more realistic about what he was, and he's doing exactly what he was supposed to be, which is a very good squad player.
Kunle was actually one of those. He had an absolute meltdown when you signed Madueke. So Kunle should be here apologising for his crimes.
Yeah, all that was slightly annoying, especially because it should be you're buying a player, at least even if you don't fancy him, give him some support. But it's even like there's another part of Transfer Flow, Ted Knutson over there, who's worked in football, founder of StatsBomb, a guy that I respect a lot and people in the industry do. I got to meet him, but even he said people work within football had so much respect and really liked the guy, and he was very excited about the signing as well. So I've seen a lot of people from the industry, is it the same people that were tipping Kai Havertz to succeed? But when you're listening to people on the inside of the industry and who work in football who are very excited about that signing, gives me great hope, and that it was positive out of there. So I think you've got to give some credit to Berta and Arteta. These are intelligent guys. They identified his talents and said, we can get the best out of that talent. And so far, they have got the best out of him. He's replaced Saka really well. Obviously, he might shift out to the left, but we got plenty of minutes. So all the people saying, well, he's going to get shifted when Saka starts playing anyway. We're in multiple competitions. He's going to get minutes regardless, even when Saka's back. We need him. We need strong depth. People were complaining that Saka was getting too much minutes. He was getting rushed in. He was getting injured. Well, we don't have to do that anymore because Madueke so far has proven he can fill in those boots. So for me, going back to that tier list where I said he was a good signing, got to reevaluate. I think I was right. I'm going to take the W on that one.
Yeah. Look, I think it's an interesting one because some people genuinely don't like the player, don't like the signing. Fair. I think some people were led by, it's another Chelsea player, once bitten, twice shy. I also think there's a percentage who probably, like the no excuses for injuries, no excuses from referees, spent 18 months, 2 years just ripping into him at Chelsea and exaggerating about how bad he is, how awful he is. Because we're all on social media, if you're on social media doing this, especially if you're someone who has quite a bit of clout and influence, then suddenly that player's coming to your club. You feel silly, you feel stupid. So what do you have to do? You have to double down, don't you? Yeah, and this is where I think sometimes as football fans we end up not enjoying things as much because you double down and go, this is crazy. You go mental because I've told you guys he's so bad. Now we're signing him. Oh my God, we're crazy. There's never a thought of up front of maybe I was wrong. Maybe my opinion's been wrong this whole time. That's why we're buying him. So you double down the other way. Then he starts looking good, and it's just. I do agree with you, Seb. I think sometimes we've lost something as football fans. And I got called out for this loads in the summer. Terry, you back bad signings. What do you mean by that? Well, you said you didn't want him, but then you said you support him. I said, yeah, I support every player we sign. In the sense that I hope they do well. I'll cheer them on when they're on the pitch. I'll encourage them to do well. And I hope they do good. I mean, that's what I kind of earmark as support. Yeah, if I don't like a player, I stand on business and I never back them. Again, I'm not telling people how they should and shouldn't support their team. I just look at that view and just think to myself, you could spend. I mean, those typically are the same people as well that are never happy unless they're the best team in the world, never happy unless they dominate for 95% of a game. And I just look at it and go, look at all the standards these people set. And I just think, when have you actually ever enjoyed football? Especially when you look at most of the teams they support. I'm like, genuinely, I hear City fans talk like that are in their mid-30s. And I think, when did this come about? Because there's no way you pick City as a team to support if that's always been your view of football. And by the way, most of our views of football are what our dad, our big brother, our mother, our auntie, our uncle pumped into us. When was that being said? 95% of all football teams would never have a supporter if the way you're saying teams should be supported, the standards for every goalie, every manager, every team, every season. It's weird. Like you can just, and by the way, I didn't think it was a good signing and I've held my hands up and said I could be wrong. But sometimes you can just go, not for me, but come on, lad, let's do it. And you support them. Where's that gone in this game?
There's physically no downside to support. Because if you support the player, you don't like him, but he does well, it's good for you. Honestly, it really confused me. Obviously, the criticism's fine. I've criticised Martinelli, but to go to the extent where they're putting petitions out, it's just odd. Honestly, some people need to touch some grass. Genuinely, like it's ridiculous.
I actually think it has the opposite. I think you're more likely to hurt a player in your team. I'm getting to a point now where I believe that the more extreme you get, I think the more you can hurt your team and your club. I don't necessarily think. I know people go, Madrid fans, they get really angry. Yeah, they get really angry when their amazing team that's consistently amazing, that nearly always wins, has a bad couple of weeks. They go mad, and that team that's already really good can turn it round. Does it work when this isn't specifically about Arsenal because you're pretty good at the moment. Does it work if your team's been on its arse for 10 years? Show me the evidence that getting angry works. It doesn't. I think you do need to be more encouraging and maybe a little bit more patient. The examples you always get are not an example from your that relates to your current situation. It's one of those things, man.
Well, it's even like with the Chelsea chat earlier. I was slagging Chelsea off. It's slight exaggeration, but Chelsea fan. I can't remember your name, but If he come back and just went, yeah, no, I agree, yeah, we're really bad. No, that's nonsense. You back your team. You want the best for your team. If you just sat here and been just going, yeah, no, Seb, you are right. Yeah, we're really bad. Like, yeah, it's just crazy.
Going through something similar with Garnacho. Like, I was strongly against the Garnacho signing, but then when I saw him holding up a Chelsea shirt, like, I'm gonna support him, innit? It's just need to get behind your team, get behind the players. It doesn't matter if you don't agree with the signings. At the end of the day, it's up to the signing to prove you all wrong.
Yeah.
So,
everyone's entitled to support a team how they want. I'm just more asking questions than making statements. I don't get how some of these football fans actually enjoy football, and then I don't get.
You want to get one up on each other.
Like, a lot.
Yeah. They just want to be able to go to the. They'll be in a chat with their friends and they'll be like just giving them digs because your club done this, your club done that, but they just forget that the reason why we do things we do and why we actually love the game.
Yeah, I think there's this element of, I mean, there's probably a phrase that sums it up best. Like everybody wants to be able to say, hold that. It's like I almost feel like that's as important to people now as their team being good, just so they can. Like, I look at it sometimes and think, do you actually love your football club? Genuine thought I have is, do you love your football club? Or is your football club a fashion accessory that you can flex if you're winning trophies, if you're beating teams? Or do you actually love your football club for how it was founded, how it was built, the tragedies it's been through, the ups, the downs, and everything else? And I don't think you need to be local to pick a team. And I'm a United fan, not from Manchester, but I love the football club. You can be the other side of the world and pick a football team. But why I suppose the question is, why did you pick them? And for instance, as a United fan, I know, quite prominent online. I've worked with him and I've listened to him speak 100 times. Genuinely he's not a big fan of Fergie's style of football. Doesn't like the class of 92 stuff. Speaks about United's DNA's rubbish and the academy thing. Is never liked the style of football we had because he wants to play more like other top European teams used to. Doesn't really rate Rooney. Thinks Cristiano Ronaldo's overrated. Go on and on and on. None of these top 10 players of all time, barring Scholes, are in his are from Manchester United. And sometimes I sit there and think, what made you even pick us? It don't make it. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, imagine you sit there on your wedding day, you get up to do your speech. I'm going to explain why I've been with my wife 10 years. I'm going to explain why I like her. And imagine it's all things. You're just sitting there going, yes, you've got crusty toes, breath bad in the morning. Yeah, I'm not a fan of her cooking. Not a fan of her cooking, you know. But not a fan of her cooking. Driving's awful. The driving's awful. She's not in my top 10 best looking girls I've ever dated. That's what I don't quite get. There is an element. Do you know what's missing? I think we've lost the ability to be not wildly, because we've still got the wildly biased people, but I think we're all meant to have a mild element. When this is how I always know it. I think if you're talking to somebody who's picked a football club for what the club is versus what they were winning at the time. Because if I was to ask Kane, his favorite, his top 10 players of all time, there may be Zidane's and Pele's and Ronaldinho's in there, but I know there's some Newcastle players. I just know there is.
David Ginola.
It'll be there. And the same with Spurs. The same with well, there we go. And I know they're there. When I speak to a Man United fan and I'm like, who are your top 10 players of all time? And they list great players. When they speak about what made them watch football, who excited them, you actually just watch their content long enough. You're like, there's nothing ever like I watched some guy do something for a big media company, and like, what got you into football? Watching Ronaldinho. What was your first? What's your best memory from a Champions League? Everything's about other clubs, and I'm sitting there like, why did you pick Man United? Because for me, I kind of get some people might fall in love with a club because they watched a certain game. I watched Arsenal do this to Barcelona in the Champions League, and I just fell in love with it. I watched Spurs do this, or I watched this player as a kid and fell in love with the club, or I read this book and I fell in love with this. People have reasons, but I sit there sometimes, and how can nothing about Man United be in your best things about football if it's your love? There is meant to be an element of bias in there, and I do think we have lost that in football, especially in the social media world when fans talk. And I'll tell you who probably the best for it at the moment is like the City fans you see online. Just to see his love for their club. Liverpool fans, maybe it's because United is shit at the moment and we've lost a little bit of it. But I don't know. It's kind of weird to me. I don't get it personally, but maybe that's just me. Why is Terry sounding so depressed? No, I'm not depressed, bruv. On a real level, my football's crap, but life's pretty good. And Yeah, I'm good, my friend. I'm annoyed about things like that, but this is why I like talking football online, because it's not an emotive subject. A fiction or fact, Kate? Tottenham and Arsenal have near identical records this season. They are now on the same level.
That's so silly. That is 100% fiction. It's like us saying we beat Manchester City away this year, so we must be a better team than Manchester City. I think the gap is going to be smaller this year between the two. I think that the transformation that Thomas Frank has already made to our team is apparent for all to see. You know, I'm enjoying watching us play. I think Arsenal have scored 9, let 1 in. We've scored 8, let 1 in. I think we're in the right direction at last. We've got a manager who knows what he's doing, and the results have shown that. We look much tighter at the back, but we need to do it consistently for us to be in the same level as Arsenal. I mean, they're in phase 6, is it? We're just starting phase 1. Who said phase 4?
No, I think Arteta said that you're in phase 4 until you start winning the major trophies. So you just stay in phase 4. Yeah, okay. That's what he said. That's what he said, right? I think that's what I heard him say in his interview.
Yeah.
So they've
he likes to muck about that, to be fair.
Yeah. He's had 6 years of Arsenal. We've had not even like 3 months of Thomas Frank yet. So no, I don't agree with the statement. However, I do believe Spurs are going to be moving closer to Arsenal now. And I think the fact that Levy stepped down, I think the manager was back more than he's been backed. Any manager's been back for a while to get 4 first teamers to walk straight into the team and make us better with the likes of Simons and Paulinho. I think the future's bright for Spurs, but we're still a little way off of catching sort of the Arsenals and Liverpools. No one else is going to say anything.
One of you three can go. Yeah.
I think. Yeah. Oh, you can go first. Go.
I agree with everything Kate said. I think I look at the games again. Was it at home at Burnley? Comfortable win, very good performance. Away at Man City, very good performance, coming around the way with a win. Then you had that loss to Bournemouth, and then you beat West Ham. So, I mean, I think the records are the same, but I think Arsenal may have had, I want to say, about the same, if maybe not slightly harder schedule so far. But
really?
Tottenham have been brilliant. I agree. Well, yeah, because they had Man United away, then they played.
Well, that's easy.
Then they had Leeds, which was similar to Burnley.
Our record at Old Trafford,
they had Liverpool away.
So for us, it's not the easiest game in the world.
Like Liverpool away as well, and then was it home against Forest?
Yeah, we're at home. Yeah,
it's slightly comparable, maybe a bit harder, but like not massively. But I think you're absolutely right. I mean, in saying that you'll get closer than Arsenal, I think you could only get closer to Arsenal this year because it was 17th last year, and you'll be a long way from that this season. Again, I think a lot of this is going to come down to as soon as these Champions League games come in, because I rate Tottenham's first 11. I think squad depth and places are a bit lacking, and then when we get into these higher levels of the table, it's just going to come down to injuries and management of. My worry for Spurs was last year you struggled with Europa League and the Premier League, and now you've got the Champions League and the Premier League, and I don't think you've strengthened the squad massively. Obviously, you brought in a lot of good first team. Like I said, the first 11 is up there with I think anyone in the top 6. It's just that then the squad depth afterwards, I don't think is as strong. But I'm assuming you can correct me on that if you wish.
I think Kate hit the nail on the head. Really, I think the best signing of the summer so far has been Thomas Frank. I think he's shown that he's made the step up seamlessly. I think he's been fantastic. I thought United should have gone for him earlier. He's brought such a great structure in there. They're hard to beat now. They play a superb mid block when they need to play that. They're pressed really effectively, And I think Xavi Simons is a massive purchase. I thought that was huge. Like the clubs that he's been linked with before, everyone thought his natural progression was going to go to Bayern Munich, or even PSG at one point wanted to keep him, but he didn't want to stay. So getting Xavi through the door is massive, especially with Maddison going out injured. They needed some creativity in there. So that signing was fantastic. It's just they look night and day from where they did last year. Obviously, the injuries they had was really bad. So I think Ange did get a bit more stick than he deserved, because at some points they were playing basically teenagers at centre-backs, like Archie Gray was playing defence. So I do think Ange got a bit too much stick. But being as non-biased as possible, I think Tottenham do look fantastic. Obviously, they're not near to Arsenal's level, but I think top 5, top 6 race for sure. I think they look really good. He's just got them back to the basics. They're doing the basics extremely well. The structure is there. They're going to do really well this season. Yes, I agree with Kane. In certain places, there isn't a great deal of depth there, but especially the youngsters, Bergvall, I think he is going to be one of the best players in the league. He is fantastic already. They've got a great youth academy going through there. All you can say about Levy is, yes, from one end, he was a terrible owner because he didn't invest at the right times under Pochettino, but he has left Tottenham at a final. Look, because before Levy came in, the average position finishes wise was around 10th place. He's boosted them up. He's made them a financial powerhouse. So he has left them in a very good place. So you've got to give Levy some credit. But I do think Tottenham have bridged the gap, especially with the clubs like Chelsea underneath them. Aston Villa, I think they've overtaken them straight away. I think they're better than Newcastle right now. They look a lot better, in my personal opinion, than Newcastle. I don't like saying that because it's Tottenham, but yeah, I do think they look fantastic. Obviously not at Arsenal's level, but I think they are European contenders, and I think they will get Europe again this season.
Yeah, I agree with most of what you said. I think the one thing about Tottenham is the unpredictability, where they're able to switch between a back 5 and a back 4 depending on the opponent. So, and again, like you said, good mid block, no one to press high. I still think they're thin at centre back, but provided Romero and Van de Ven can stay fit, I do think they will challenge for a Champions League place this season, at best. But I can't really argue against it.
I think they would challenge. I think that they've demonstrated that. I think Thomas Frank is such an this is why when I hear United fans do that, I mean, Nuno's an interesting one because he didn't work at Spurs, but he didn't work because he was option number 13, 14 that summer, and it was just starting on the wrong foot. But I do think he could have worked there. But sometimes there are these managers who are not quite. Everybody wants the new hype jobs. Does that mean everyone wants the new name that everybody's absolutely buzzing about? And I don't necessarily. It does work sometimes. When Fergie went to United, everyone in the world already knew who he was. You've got Klopp and Pep to Liverpool and City respectively. This happens, but it doesn't always have to go that way. You can take someone who's a little bit less known or someone that's solid, and just like signing proven players can help you if your system and your structure in your team's working. You know, Oliver Glasner as an example. If United really are in this mess we think we're in, the financial results come out Wednesday. If there's holes in that where there isn't going to be 300 million a summer for the next 3 years, you have to look at managers like that. And I think Thomas Frank has come in. He knows what he's got. Not the best squad in the league. Not a terrible one, but not the best squad. Good summer. How do we become hard to beat, dangerous on the counter? Some games will dominate the ball and pin teams back. Yes, there's the Bournemouth game, but Bournemouth are a fantastic team. And I think people are just sort of ignoring that because their name is Bournemouth. They're a real threat. And unlike Brighton, unlike Wolves, unlike the other team, Brentford, these guys didn't lose their best players in the summer, barring Howson, but they kept a lot of their threat. They kept a lot of their athleticism. If they took 2 or 3 extra players away, it might be a little different. But I think Thomas Frank's done a fantastic job. And do I think they're on Arsenal's level? As a Spurs fan who tweeted that out, no. I actually think what would help you guys is to not start comparisons with Arsenal or Chelsea or Liverpool. I almost think, don't big your team up. Well done. We were great today. Love this. But keep other clubs' names out your mouths. Don't draw any unnecessary attention or pressure to your team and just plug away nicely. Because I think for me, top 5 is where you're going to finish. I think you'll be in the Champions League next year. I think Thomas Frank's going to really prove. I know you've got to start playing 2 games a week. I personally think players prefer it. I think players prefer it when they're busy with games. Because at Man United, what are our players going to be doing this week? Sitting around all week, building up pressure against us on ourselves to have to beat Chelsea, where Chelsea are not even going to start thinking about Man United till Friday morning. Less time for anxiety, worry, and concern to build up. And I think that will help Spurs. I think playing 2 games a week, proper games, because we all know in the Europa League, you guys did take semi-seriously. But even then, the group stages, a lot of those games were so easy. They were. Man United were winning most of them. And we were awful last year. Like, you guys are going to be fine. You come in top 5 for me. And I think you'll finish in the top 5 ahead of Newcastle as well. Maybe even City if City's form don't improve. You can shake your head. Spurs are a very good team. Very good
No,
team.
they are. But I don't think they'll finish above Newcastle. I think
they've got a better manager than you as well.
Mm.
I disagree very highly. But...
Nah, Eddie Howe's a better manager than Thomas Frank.
We'll see this year. Eddie Howe's very good. I don't disrespect him, but I've thought Thomas Frank's the manager I've watched for years, and I thought to myself, yeah, Eddie Howe did very well with Bournemouth, but what Frank did with Brentford, I think, was better. Personally,
yeah. Well, look, Brentford have never, since they've come up, they haven't even been a threat of getting relegated. He came in straight away, Premier League regulars. Like, you don't, especially when you're looking at recent seasons, how hard that is to actually do.
Brentford and Brighton are the only 2 teams in Premier League history to be promoted and never relegated. And Brentford have done it all with one manager. And as you say, they've never been in threat of going down. No. They have listen, budget-wise, their stadium, right, costs more than most of our clubs spend on players, right? They've got very little money in comparison to everybody else because they are a tiny football club. To make them as strong, as hard to beat, and as consistent as he did on a genuine shoestring budget, it's just phenomenal. Now, there's more pressure now because there is more money, there's more expectation, and we'll see. And I want to be very clear. I'm not saying Eddie Howe's a bad manager. He still was fantastic as I think he is. I just think that Frank will prove himself to be better.
I mean, Terry, obviously last year, me and you had a torrid times. We both had horrendous seasons. But this year, I think it's safe to say that Spurs are not going to be in that position.
Yes.
But Manchester United, you could be finishing around the same place.
Yep.
I don't know how to word it. I mean, I want to kind of say, how does that make you feel? But I don't want it to sound like I'm being funny when I say, how does that make you feel?
No, it's a really good question, Kay. I have moments where I feel really sad about it in the sense of, the Football Terrace is flying. I love my channel. I've got my personal channel, Terry Flewis TV. I'm on the United stand. Like, I bring that up because my job and my life is surrounded by football. The painful part is that my team's going through its worst period of my life during like this part of my career that's amazing. It's horrible in that room. And I'm sure Gary Neville would say very similar. Like, he's probably at the peak of his broadcasting powers, but it's horrible that your team isn't doing well because it's a dampener. I'm not going to lie. I prefer when you lot are all playing. Chelsea, Spurs, Arsenal, Newcastle, because I can just enjoy the football. I don't care about the result to a large degree. I can enjoy it with Man United. My team's on average winning 1 game a month at the moment for the last 12 months. It's crazy, right? But equally, did I think it would be this bad under Ruben Amorim? No, that would be a lie. But did I think we were going to have this? I've always said 3 or 4 years to fix this, and dark times were ahead. And maybe it's because I was more prepared for that, because as arrogant as this next statement is going to sound, it was true. I think I'm one of the very few Man United fans online that's truly understood the depths of depravity that we're in, the deep-rooted issues at every level of the club, and how long these things would take to fix. Did I expect better from Ruben Amorim? Yes. But I think there's a lot of United fans out there that are angrier on a more regular basis because they deluded themselves again into thinking new manager, we'll have a regimented system this time. Watch us fly. I never thought we'd fly per se. I thought maybe top 5, top 6, like if the recruitment was good. But I knew there'd be lots of dark days, especially when it comes to implementing a system. Because every time our last 4 managers have gone from adapting to, right, guys, we need to change the system. We need to become this way if we're going to go from 3rd and 2nd places and finals and qualifying for the Champions League to being able to win it. We've got to work harder, run through brick walls, sacrifice more, suffer a bit more. Every time a manager's tried to make this squad work that way, they're thrown the fucker under the bus or haven't been good enough themselves. So I just didn't delude myself into thinking this time it was 100% going to be okay, which even now, if we sack Amorim, I'm not that worried about it. Who do I want to hire? I'm not that worried about it. I'm more focused. Are the clubs still going to pull in a similar direction? Clear Lake are a great modern example. First year, they fucked up, got rid of Tuchel, got rid of the board, and went for buying star big names. Didn't work. They scrapped that, went, right, we're buying young, up-and-coming talent. That's our model. We're going to develop it at the same time. They got the wrong manager twice. Ended up with a third manager, but their operation hasn't changed direction massively. They've carried on moving in the right way, and it's worked for them. I don't mind sacking managers if we're not changing directions too much, because essentially there's a paradox where if you're 10 steps away from completing a task, but you only take 5 steps, and then the next time round you only take 2.5 steps, you never get there. And that's been Man United, and then we change direction again and go back in the other way. So I feel crappy about it. I feel horrible about it. But at the same time, I've understood what our problems are for a long time. So I don't allow myself to get overly carried away with where we should be today, if that makes sense. So, but I love this week's European games because it's impossible for Man United to lose this midweek, which is amazing. It's an amazing feeling. So, yeah. Terry, you won't go against Amorim because of your job on the United stand. Absolutely nothing to do with it whatsoever, because you're so up Mark Goldbridge's arse. Now, let me just tell you this now. Me and Mark agree on different things. We just don't get into calling each other names and pejoratives and acting like big babies on the internet. Equally, Mark and I have agreed hugely on streams together about Ineos and things they've done that are good and things that they have done that are bad. I am far more positive about things at United, in Mark's own words, than he is in certain areas. But again, if you want to spread the rumors that the only reason I am supportive of certain areas of Amorim is because I have to suck up to my... If that's what makes you sleep at night, if that's what makes other YouTubers that are much smaller than me and less successful than me feel better about themselves, then you believe it. Cheers, mate. This super chat here says, last season, United and Spurs finished in similar positions. Both clubs are as badly run as each other. If United had hired Frank instead of Amorim, do you think that... No. So both clubs are not run as badly as each other. Spurs are actually a fantastically run football club, barring 2 things for me. One, they've never quite spent enough when they could have done in certain areas, more so on salary than transfers. So they could have, again, you could spend £50 million on two different players, but you can get better quality by paying the guy that wants a bigger salary. The transfer fee is not so much it's the salaries. The second thing is the biggest mistake they made was going for pragmatists after Poch and basically going in the wrong direction. Had they gone to had they gone to someone like Ange, whoever that version of him was back then, you'd have seen a team fly because they were built to play attacking football. Thomas Frank would have been perfect for him at that point because... a bit of both worlds. That was the mistake. But are they, you cannot compare ENIC and the Glazers. The Glazers have systematically rotted this football club. ENIC have done the opposite to Tottenham. They've taken Tottenham from a team making £150 million a year in turnover to 600 or 700 million with a brand new stadium. What they haven't probably done well enough in the last 3 or 4 years is convert that new income and wealth into success on the pitch. That's why Levy's now gone. That's why they're looking at new people to come in. But they're a much better run club than Manchester United Football Club, in my opinion, by a country mile. Suarez is the player who might have taken the crown. Better than Salah and might have challenged the king. Racist, bitey nonsense aside. Well, the problem is you can't put that aside, can you? You can't put it aside. Even people that haven't been convicted of crimes because of Ryan Giggs' court cases in the last couple of years, which he won. It's the reason why he's not been put into the Premier League Hall of Fame yet. You could never have been crowned as with the things that Suarez has done, it would be absolutely reprehensible for him to ever have been crowned something like that. Be crazy. The constant South American team slander is weird. They cause more problems in Europe than most teams. We say they're shit, yet always still their players. I think that was about
in regards to that when he was putting us losing to a Brazil team in the Club World Cup. But they beat most. The Brazil teams must work in the Club World Cup. So
no, they did well, man. They did well. I consider it a real tournament. Chelsea beat some good teams at that tournament, to be fair. They did. And
beat the champions of Europe 3-0.
Yeah, but we beat them on XG, so, you know.
I love that. Giggs isn't in the Hall of Fame because of shit he did off the field. It has nothing to do with what he did with his brothers. Why his own brother was tweeting saying it's ridiculous that he's not in it, right?
Is it?
I will say this now, right? There are players on that Hall of Fame list who went to prison. Okay, just putting it out there, went to prison for breaking the law. Someone's cheating on their wife is horrible, and it isn't right. And I'm not condoning it. But we can't compare it to people that have gone to prison for breaking laws and hit people and done all madnesses. Those types of. By the way, I'm also going to have John Terry's on it, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? It's not like it's all to do with the court case he was going through. Was starting when the Hall of Fame started. All of that was on go. It's why he had to step down from the job at Wales. And you know the court case has happened. He's been exonerated, but that's why it didn't happen. And they're probably waiting. But yeah, that's the reason. Nothing to do with what he did behind his wife's back. Because look at a lot of the other men that are on that list. A lot of them did that kind of thing, bruv. A lot of them. Trust me. Look, I want to thank everyone who tuned into the show today. It means a great deal to us. We're back tomorrow, myself and Mark Goldbridge. But once he's told me what I can and can't say, of course, David, if you're watching in the chat. Mark's on with me at 11 a.m. tomorrow morning, so make sure you're here for that on Hot Takes. Plus, we have Straight Facts in the afternoon. Then it's Champions League football, so an action-packed middle of the week. It really is. Kate... we've got on here Seb, Kane, as well. Plus, Kunle. I don't know what happened to Kunle today. It must have been his internet. He's been in and out like a madman. Thanks for coming on. Thanks to all of my super chatters, everyone who's hit the like and the share button. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you soon. Peace.